Good evening, everybody. We are going to, thanks everybody for coming out. I appreciate it. We were going to have Jonathan Huskadegi, who is running for NC House in the Wilmington region. He is also has escaped socialism in Venezuela. That's where he grew up. But because he had another appointment, and we are actually going to wait till next month, where we will also have Treasurer Dale Folwell. Okay. And so we'll have the two of them, so it'll just be a little bit of a bigger, we'll have more time to promote it and stuff. So that's why he's not here. But we have our local candidates. We have Brad here, which is good. We have Danielle, we have Taylor Frederick again.
Yay!
And Pastor Gates, if you start us in prayer.
He didn't tell you, but he's asked me to preach a sermon, so he could ask Let's just raise a hand to heaven. How about that? Heavenly Father, we praise you and thank you for this evening. We thank you for what you're doing in the Republican Party. We thank you for what you're doing for the kingdom of God. We thank you for what you're doing in the hearts and lives of the people. We pray for your guidance in this party, in this meeting, in our lives, and all that we say and do. May it lift up Jesus. May it lift up this United States of America and the founding Constitution the way the founders intended it to be. May we get back to the Bible as a nation, where we have one man and one woman in marriage, where men are men and women are women.
Amen.
Where we have the rights that the Constitution has laid out. Not just the First and Second Amendments, but all the amendments. We praise you and we thank you for this evening. Ask your blessings on our time together here. And as we leave, remind us that not only are we Republicans, but we are members of the body of Christ. In Jesus' name we pray. Everyone said?
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Gary, if you would lead us in the pledge.
Put your hands over your hearts and let's say it like we mean it. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Lynn, will you lead us in the anthem?
Stand here, stand right here.
Stand wherever you want.
Oh. Sorry. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
Johnson is selling chicken plates today. I think he probably has some. If anybody wants one, you can tell me and we'll text them and say, hey, bring us some chicken plates.
Yeah, we only had like 10 left, so that was it.
I don't know if he's
We
coming.
sold out.
He told me he was gonna try and come, so,
We've been working all day.
yeah, he's
Great
knee deep in
response.
chicken. I just wanna let everybody know an update about the Chris Smoot investigation, just so that everybody knows what's going on. He is under investigation with the State Bureau of Investigation. There was an article today that was released on the Henderson Dispatch.
Yep.
It's been picked up by Yahoo News. It's been submitted for publication to the Butner Creedmoor News. The NCGOP has shared it. WRAL has it, so it's got some legs.
Probably not the Oxford Ledger.
I imagine the Ledger will not be anywhere near the Ledger. But the truth of the matter is that I'm quoted in it, but I had no knowledge of this until the guy called me up and asked me if I cared to quote on it. And he left a message on my phone, and so I called a couple people and said, what is this, you know? So I had no idea. Chris Smoot is saying that this is a political machine attack, which I find interesting considering the Granville County Republican Party has about 11,000 voters and the Democrats have 16,000. And there's about 13,000 unaffiliated. There's more Democrat elected officials in Granville County than any other affiliation. There's never been a Republican candidate for sheriff in the history of the county. There's never been a Republican candidate in District 2 for county commissioner. We've never had the majority on the school board. We've never had the majority on the county commission. So if that is a political machine, that is a pretty unsuccessful political machine.
Correct.
So just so everybody knows, your party had zero to do with it. We have had zero contact with the district attorney. I haven't had any contact with the district attorney since like March. I haven't talked to him. So I don't know. I've heard all kinds of things that I've been talking to the DA. I'm like, I haven't spoken to the guy. Oh, the last time I saw him, I was at the pool in Oxford Park, and he lives right across from the pool. And he pulled up in his house, and he waved, and I was at the pool, and I waved, and then he went in his house. That's the last contact I had. So if somebody says to you, oh, this is the Republican Party, you can laugh heartily in their face and say, that is absurd. It doesn't, with the slightest bit of scrutiny, it doesn't stand up. Just wanted to let everybody know that. School board update. This is big. So David Richardson, who was the chair of the school board, who was also a Republican, has passed away. I took that really hard. What a lot of you don't know is that David and I actually had a pretty good relationship, even when we were running Taylor against David. There was a lot of conversation that David and I had prior to that. And then while that was happening, we were in contact a lot. And because it wasn't a personal issue, David said that he believed that the school board had the authority to put masks on kids and mandate that. And I did not believe that, and I thought that was, and Chad didn't believe that. And we met with David more than once about it. And we said to him, even if you think that the kids should wear masks, why wouldn't you just say, I have to vote against this because you can't show me where we get the authority, although I believe they should do that. You get to do both things. And he said, well, I believe we do have the authority. And I said, okay, show me where do you get the authority? From what? From where? And of course, he was unable to show that to me because they don't have it. And, but he maintained that they did through the health department. And so I said, this issue is an issue that we cannot let go. We're going to run somebody against you on this issue. Yes. And he was sad, but he always paid for lunch, and he was a good dude. And like we weren't like people thought we were at each other's throats, and that just is not true. So I took it really hard. I was really sad, but the big wheel keeps on turning, whether we like it to or not. So now there is a vacancy in District 7. It is our opinion that the only other person that got any votes is our Taylor Frederick.
Yes, it is, right.
So to not appoint him, we think is a travesty. Glenda Williams is was just elected, the new board of the school board, the new chairwoman of the school board. Glenda has.
The only election she's ever won.
I was just gonna say, thank you for pointing that out, Danielle. I was just gonna say that Glenda did not run for office, she was appointed.
Right.
She didn't do anything wrong, she was appointed, right? So that means no voters said anything. That means she didn't go to the polls and hand out cards. That means she didn't have anybody attack her on Facebook and say she was a scoundrel. That means nobody said that her husband is a drunk. None of those things that happened to the candidates that run. You know, nobody made things up that were completely untrue about her. That didn't happen. So, but that said, once you raise your hand and say, I do, you did. And she's every bit of a member of the school board as an elected official. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is I think it takes nerve to say, I don't think that we should appoint Taylor. I think we should follow the same process as District 2. I think that takes nerve from somebody who has never run in an election and not gotten one vote to say we shouldn't appoint the guy who's gotten votes. And so let's be honest, Taylor was only 44 votes away from beating David. Am I wrong?
No, well, it depends on which part you're talking about, because her seat actually, she may not be there legally. That's still.
That's a horse of another color.
Okay.
You know, what I'm saying is this, and I'll get to that. What I'm saying is this. Taylor got, I think it was 624, and David got 664. Right, or 600 and...
I think you're thinking of mine. They got the 400, so he lost by like 60 votes.
Okay, so he was 60 and you were 44.
I won by 40.
Yeah,
something
so,
like that.
but still, the
It was
point
super
is, you know, he got 400 odd votes.
Yeah.
You know, that's more than zero.
And nobody's been sworn in for that office until December.
Correct.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is that we really need you to go to the school board meeting and to get up and speak and say the words, you have to appoint Taylor Frederick now because he got votes. Right. And I yield the rest of my time back. I don't care if that's all you say. But if you stand up and say, he got votes, the people have said if he came within 60 votes of winning the election.
Right, against an incumbent.
You know, against an
The
incumbent.
chairperson.
A beloved incumbent. I love the guy. And you know what I'm saying? So especially if you live in District 7, please. The only way that they're gonna, the school board, in my opinion, is terrified because Danielle is about to get on the board and she's a little bit of a lightning rod. And Amanda is on the board and she has shown herself to be a conservative. And they don't like her because of that. And so that means there would be 2 on the board. There's an opening in District 2 right now because Tom Houlihan resigned. And I like to think we might have had something to do with that. We gave him a little bit of a shove. And David Richardson passed away. So if Taylor is appointed, like I believe he should be, now there would be 3 conservatives on the board. And if they pick the correct candidate for District 2, and I'm not going to say who it is, but if they pick the correct one, that would be 4. That means the conservatives would be in the majority for the first time ever. Now, they knew this was coming. They thought it was not coming for 4 years. Matter of fact, I didn't think it was coming for 4 years. But that's not where we find ourselves right now. We are literally, it could be months, and we could have a majority on the school board for the first time ever. And that would freak them out.
Absolutely.
You have a question?
I do.
Love it.
When's the school board meeting and when?
School board meeting is on Monday, October 3rd at
6 p.m., but you have to be there before 6 to sign up for public comment. And,
First Monday every.
and if you're gonna come, you need to sign up for public comment. And
Pretty
send it
please,
to
with
public-
sugar on top. No joke.
Yes.
Public comment is the thing. It's Monday, October 3rd at, you gotta be there probably around 5-ish.
No, you don't have to be there anytime, like 5:30,
5:30, and it's at Mary Potter?
As long as your name is on the list before 6 o'clock, you are good to go
Yeah, and it's at Mary Potter Education Center
in Oxford.
in Oxford. So, I believe it's vital that we show up. Vital that we show up. Frank?
So the process of replacing,
Okay, thank you. So the law says, right, general statute?
Yes.
General statute says, in the event of a vacancy on a sitting elected school board member, okay, by death or any other reason, the process is the sitting members, the remaining members of the board will appoint the person for that seat until the next election cycle.
And
So,
that's it, they can appoint, they can use any process they
right,
want.
that's it, that's the
It just
process.
says they have to appoint.
So they appoint to the next election cycle. So that means, let's say that they listen to us and they appoint Taylor. That means the next election cycle, which would be in
2024.
2024. So Taylor would serve until 2024 and then have to run again in District 7.
Even though that seat is until 2028?
Well, no, because the law says that it's until the next election cycle. Now, the issue we currently have,
Great that you brought that up.
the issue we currently have is that Glenda Williams was appointed and the election cycle this year passed. So she was appointed prior.
President.
So rules for me, but not for thee. You know, that's how they are. They,
President, so then the president,
but
that's the way I.
so this is what I'm learning. You cannot apply your logic to these people
To Democrats.
because they do not, because they believe that it is okay that they ignored the law, not the rule, the law. They ignored it for Glenda because it served their interest. But they will not ignore it for Taylor because it does not serve their interest. Do you see what I'm saying?
And if anybody wants to know what the law is, it's on my campaign page. It's North Carolina General Statute 115C-37.
And this is why they're terrified of Danielle. Because this is not about getting a conservative on the board. This is what the law says.
Right.
These are the rules. Let's all play within these rules. I'm gonna go even further, okay? So this is who these people are, just to put it into perspective, okay? So at the Creedmoor Music Festival and the Oxford and the Hot Sauce Festival, we get a packet of rules, and one of the rules is the individual candidate is not allowed to have a booth. Now, I happen to agree with that rule. I think it's a good rule, because otherwise Vance Johnson would have a booth, and Frank Sossman would have a booth, and everybody, there'd be 16 candidate booths. Who wants to go to that? I don't want to go to that. So I agree. The candidates should not have a booth and had no problem with it, and that's why we had one at both, because I said, well, the candidates can't, but we can, right? They said yes. I said, okay, so all of our candidates can be at our booth. Yes, that's great. Okay, great. I think that's a good rule. The Creedmoor Music Festival this year was the first year they had it in a couple of years, and usually they give us the map. They would give you the map about a week prior so that you can plan, so that you can get your supporters to help you, stuff like that. So a week prior to the Creedmoor Music Festival, we got an email that said, we will not be sending out the map or any information until next Wednesday. So the Creedmoor Music Festival was on Saturday. We didn't get the map until Wednesday. So that was odd to me that was their deliberate. And I thought to myself, they gotta know, where people are by now, unless, then I said, well, maybe Georgiana, who was a commissioner in Creedmoor, she called me up spitting mad. And I was just like, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Maybe they didn't sell it all out. Maybe they're logistically trying to make sure that everybody's in the right spot. I didn't really care. And then on Wednesday we get it, and I'm perusing it, and what do I see? Candidate for Sheriff Chris Smoot in booth 80.
Yep.
And I thought, well, that can't be right. Because it says right here that no individual candidate's allowed to have a booth. So I sent an email and I said, hey, look, this has got to be a mistake. I see this, it says candidate Smoot. That's not fair to Mary Willis Bodie, who I know wanted a booth. That's not fair to Rob Fountain, who I know wanted a booth.
Right.
It's not fair to E.C. Sykes, who wanted one. It's not fair to Frank Sossman, who wanted one. So I'm just certain this has got to be some type of typo or something's wrong. I'd appreciate a reply back, because it's Wednesday. And I said, at this point, it's not like they have time to put together a booth. There's nothing they can do. She emails me back. She says, thanks for your email. It's been forwarded to the city attorney. And I was like, why? You know, I'm not, this is not a legal matter, it's just, this is a rule you made, this woman, you made this rule, so, I mean, what's the big deal? So then I get a call back from Georgiana, and shockingly, she's spitting mad. So she says to me, I can't believe this nonsense, filth, flarn, filth. And I said, what is wrong? They're gonna let Smoot keep his booth. So here's what I say, that can't be. The rules simply say that no candidate can have that. They're not gonna do that, that's not, that they made the rule. Well, the city attorney said they can't do that because it's against his First Amendment right to campaign. And I was like, pump the brakes. It is not against his First Amendment right for you to say he can't have a booth. You didn't say he couldn't campaign, you said he couldn't have a booth. And that's a good rule, and you should stick to it. So, and then they said, nope, they're not gonna do it, that's against his, the guy's just lying. You know, he's just making it up, you know, and so, but you know who else knew that he had a booth and it was against the rules? You know who else knew? Chris Smoot did. He knew. He knew nobody else was allowed to have a booth. He knew no candidates would have a booth, but he did it anyway. So this is what this is showing you. This is what this man does when no one's looking. This is what he does. And it's not just him. It is all of them. The corruption is rampant. And it's not just in the sheriff's office. It's the school board, it's the whole government. It's because this is what they believe, that this is okay.
Whatever it takes to get.
And it is not okay. And so the only way we do it is by showing up at the school board meeting and saying, we're not gonna take this anymore, this is ridiculous. So I really hope that we can have a good turnout at the school board meeting on October 3rd at 5:30.
Bring your neighbors, bring your friends. Sign
Bring
up
your
to
dog,
speak.
bring everybody.
Sign up to speak.
Bob,
I may be a bit confused.
Okay.
But, going back to the school board thing.
Mhm.
I understand the law that you read, what it says.
Mhm.
Why would our showing up there convince them to do anything other than exactly what they want to do?
Well, I think that
One, I think it shines a light on
it shines a light on it. The other thing it does is the school board is susceptible to public pressure. They're not, you know, if the public is standing there demanding that they actually follow the rules, it's harder for them to not follow the rules. You know, because if they're looking at it 60, 70 people,
But ignoring what we might say, that's not ignoring the rules. They can appoint who they want and be within the rules.
But that's not the rule that they weren't following. Two things. If
go
I'm
ahead,
okay,
yeah, you're,
appointing, they're following the rules. The fact that they didn't hold an election for the seat that someone was appointed to in the next election cycle, they actually broke the law.
Yeah.
That's not a rule.
And that was deliberate.
That's North Carolina statute.
and they did it because nobody was looking.
But then why doesn't seeing as how the county commissioners have at least some grasp on that school board, I don't think
There's-
No, they don't.
There's
No grasp.
influence over the school.
They have no influence on.
I mean, they give them the money, but
Yeah, I mean, for only the infrastructure, right, and facilities. My inclination, and Danielle maybe will correct me here, I think it would have to come from the state, because the state
Yeah, from the
generally
state,
governs
or
the
the
school
county.
board, and that's run by the governor, so that's not gonna happen.
Has to
So I
be.
think the only
Right.
thing we could do is shine a big light, raise a lot of cane, make it so people understand what's going on.
Right.
And keep that pressure up.
I think that applying that public pressure,
And they have reversed decisions based
Right.
on public pressure before, recently.
Right. I mean, I would love to know if there's a case that could be brought, if anybody had standing, just to ask the question, why is it that you allowed
Why
the
wouldn't
seat?
another school board member have standing?
If the
Because
school
I-
board,
because
if
I'm not sworn
if
in.
the school board, yeah, if the school
I'm
board
on the
member.
board till December.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're gonna fill both seats before then.
right,
Would a petition,
Well, we said that they're following the law
To
in
appoint,
appointments.
correct.
they didn't follow the law
Right.
to have an election to replace the person. who
So
was
that would
appointed
mean
in
you
the
should
next election
eject
cycle.
that person and have another appointment.
They should.
Well, why don't you come on over and say
I
so?
won't be there. And one of the problems is the the county commissioners and the school board meet on the same night, every single
Yep.
month. So the county commissioners never see the details of what's going on
They
at the
do,
school.
I will,
I've been trying for a year to get that changed, and
I will tell you that when I went,
But Gary, why would they want to change?
no, he wants the county commissioners to change.
Why would the school board or the county commissioners want it to change? We're not on the majority in either board.
But,
because we haven't put enough pressure on them.
but when I went,
Thank you.
we'll have a
When
majority.
the illegal aliens show up on their doorstep next
Hold on.
month.
When I win, we'll have a majority, and you know who the chairman's gonna be? Russ Mack.
Yep.
And the vice chairman's gonna be Tim.
That's right. It
So,
rotates.
we've got a majority, we have the chairman, I guarantee we'll get that date changed.
Right,
That might be the first.
that's what I'm saying, that's,
The
anyway.
school board won't do it for sure.
I'm just
We'll get the
making
board.
that problem known to other people.
You are correct, I mean, and it's huge.
I go to the school board meetings and then I'm hauling butt to get to the commissioner meeting because I wanna make that, so I missed the second half.
Thank you guys, so we have a raffle happening. It's a 3 for 30 raffle, that means you get 3 chances to win for $30, it's pretty good. So we're raffling off, Brad help me, we're raffling off a Smith & Wesson
Smith &
5-shot
Wesson.
with a laser sight.
38 special.
That's one of your chances to win. And then we have a pump shotgun,
Mossberg pump shotgun.
and then we have a Glock 21 with a conversion kit.
Block 21.
So these are pretty good, pretty cool. They're happening, and I'm excited about them. And so buy a raffle ticket. And we also have our Lincoln Reagan dinner on October 8th, and we really hope everybody comes. It's super exciting. And the raffle, you get to participate in the raffle if you come. Everybody that comes is going to participate in the raffle. Everybody that comes that has a seat is going to at least have one entry into the raffle. So we really hope that you take advantage of coming to the Lincoln Reagan dinner.
Do you have to be President Tim?
No, you do not. And we're also looking for sponsors for that. So that would be great if you felt the need to sponsor a table or sponsor a seat or something like that. We are looking for poll greeters for candidates. And what those poll greeters do is when you go up to the poll, somebody walks up, you hand them a card. It's a conservative candidate card that says, here's your conservative candidates, and you can take this into the polls with you. And we have 7,500 of them right outside. So those cards are currently being handed out. They've been handed out for a while.
Very well received.
They're very well received, and we are hopeful that when we are or during early voting, we're going to have people handing them out, and during election day, we're going to have people handing them out. And so we believe that's going to be helpful to all of us. We also are doing a red card mailer, same thing. And we also are doing poll greeters, and we also need poll observers. Gary's got cards for poll observers.
If you didn't see them, I've got a 3 to 5 card. All you gotta go do is go to the Rainbow website, and right at the very top of the homepage, it says poll observer stuff. And it's
Yeah.
got a 1-page explanation of everything that it entails.
Yeah, and that's important too. Candidates. Who do we got? Brad Oldenburg. You're up. Brad's running for District 2 County Commissioner.
Good evening, everyone. I'll keep this short. Most of you know me. If you don't, my name is Brad Oldenburg, running for County Commissioner for District 2, David Smith's old seat. I've been spending, just so you know, I've been spending quite a bit of time working through the district, been to all the festivals, been knocking on a lot of doors, talking with people. The reception's been really good. Two of the things that stand out when I speak with people is they say 2 things. One, they feel that the second district has been under supported or more or less ignored, for the central and southern portion of the county. So they feel like they've been neglected somewhat. And the second comment is about 75%, maybe a little more, they've never even seen David Smith, the previous commissioner. So he never campaigned there, he never came and talked to anybody, never did anything. That's what they tell me. So that's just the feedback that I get. I'm not that kind of guy, you know, from a business perspective, I listen, right? First thing I ask people after I introduce myself is, you know, what are your concerns with the county? What's happening in the county? You know, what are the things that you want to see in your district, right? So a lot of positive feedback there. Been working with those, handing out those cards. People love those red cards, the conservative voters, especially the other side with the judges, right? They love it. So if you can get your hands on some of those, promote those, a mailer's going out, we're handing them out, it's really going well. I want to thank Vance and members of his crew who've been helping me, going door to door and helping out, Debbie Ramsey and Joan, and they're really been a big help. We're going to be working together in a couple of areas over the next couple of weeks as well, so I'm looking forward to that. He's been getting a real good reception as well. Obviously, when we're door knocking and stuff, we're promoting each other, and we're getting some good vibes from that as well. I can't say enough about participating in some of these meetings. Sue knows, and she spoke as well. The last Oxford Commissioner meeting, I went and spoke for the first time because I'm getting a little riled up about the fact that the board there is not doing anything about our police force, right? Lost two more. So now we're at 15, 14 or 15?
No, you are 13.
13 down. So a police force that's fully staffed, I believe the number is 35 or 36, we're 13 down in Oxford, right? So I said my piece, you know, I said, you know, I assume y'all are concerned. I want to know what you're doing about it. People have been talking about it for a year or two and it's only getting worse. We need to do something about it. We need to do something now. Sue spoke after me. And this is your third or fourth time, right? And she's inspired me to go to the last one as well. Reiterated that, had a few other choice observations and comments that she made. And you know, I got some feedback after from Commissioner Cohn made a statement to the challenge, maybe it could be lip service, but challenged the police chief and the department heads to come back with what they need to retain and attract police officers. Pretty valid request. Now, since it wasn't comment anymore, I'm sitting there boiling anyway, because I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this has been going on for at least a year, maybe 2 years, and nobody's asked for this yet? Or nobody's offered this yet? The chief of police hasn't gone to the board and said, this is what I need?
Yes, she has.
Well, I couldn't imagine that wasn't the case, but that's what was being implied. So that got me wound up. So anyway, and then to top it all off, we spent 10 minutes talking about how crime has gone down, violent crime has gone down in Oxford the last 2 years. Statistically speaking, it was true. So ironically, I had a post today, I shouldn't be posting because I'm running for office, but I had a post today, I said, isn't it ironic that on the front banner of the Oxford Ledger, there's this big old article patting ourselves on the back about how crime's going down, and there's 4 big articles just underneath it, 3 shootings, and a high-speed chase through Oxford. Isn't that interesting? And how anybody could look at the paper and see that across the top, and then see these 4 big articles right underneath it. So so first thing I'll be doing tomorrow is I'm going to be going into the Oxford Ledger and I'll be talking to them, and I'll darn well be at the next school or the commissioner meeting with that newspaper headline, and I'm going to say, so what the heck is going on, right? Yeah, she thought it was funny. So there's that. So, you know, if you feel that way about, you know, if you live in Oxford and you're concerned about what's happening with the police force, get on out there and let them know. We got to put the heat on. They got to do something. You know what? There aren't a lot of simple answers to a lot of things, and money isn't everything, but I will tell you that pay is a real issue with that police department. So that's an issue. So get out there and support that. On the Board of Education, same thing. I think, you know, when I get up and I speak this next meeting, the first thing I'm going to say is, why didn't the school board follow the law? Right? To replace that seat. That'll be the first thing I'll say, and then I'll make my pitch for Taylor. And hopefully there'll be 5 or 6 people behind me. So
25 or
25,
6.
yeah, right, exactly. And be prepared. Be prepared. Be prepared to be at attempted intimidation, because I will guarantee if the word gets out that there's going to be people there, I bet there'll be 4 or 5 sheriff deputies there, because they've been there. They've been at the meetings in the past. Don't be intimidated. Just go, say your piece, be respectful, but let them know you're ticked off, because I certainly will. what's left. You talked about volunteers. If anybody, you know, in the district or not, can spare a little time to knock on doors with me, maybe make some phone calls. I'm more about, you know, meeting people in person or whatnot. Working for early voting at the 3 voting districts, if you can help out there. Meet me afterwards. I'd love to talk to you about what I'm looking for in terms of a little bit of help. Not a lot of time. We've got these walk lists from the party that tell you exactly where to go. You go knocking on the door. They say, you know, who's registered, how they're registered. They're targeted. I think the Democrats, if they voted Republican once in the last 3 elections, they pop up on our list. You know, we go out, we talk to them. We're talking about Vance. We're talking about all the conservative candidates. Of course, I'm talking about myself in my district. And it would really be a big help. And also for the final push, I actually, I had ordered 100 signs, and I think I have 10 left. I put about 30. I put about 35 out yesterday. Now that we can blanket the county legally with signs, I've been putting those out. So I'm prepared to put together some more flyers, some more conversation pieces, and some more signs. So if it's within your means and you want to support me, support the party, and support the opportunity to get a conservative candidate and have a conservative majority in the county commissioners. If you can help out in any way you can, see me afterwards, and I'd be happy to assist you in that. So, any questions? If you live in District 2 and you haven't seen me yet, I'll be beating on your door sometime in the next 50 days. Yes, sir.
I just got a comment. Everybody thinks the election's a long way off. It's 28 days till we start.
Early voting starts, yep.
Less than a month.
Yep.
You can't wait until the last minute.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you. Oh, question? Sorry about it.
I just wanted to ask, in your opinion, you mentioned pay for the police.
Yes, sir.
If you had to pick the top 3 issues for the police, why they're leaving, what might those be?
I would say mine are, first and foremost, I think it's compensation and benefits. And I'll just give you 2. They have absolutely no support or backing from the mayor and the county, or the city commissioners, none. My personal opinion is, I don't know if there's anything to this, my personal opinion is that the mayor would be happy if the police force would eventually just go away and it fell in the hands of the sheriff's department. That's just my opinion. I haven't heard anybody state that. That's just my opinion.
My best friend is a captain,
Thanks for sharing.
so I know.
Court, you want to go?
And all that matters.
Everybody, Courtney Gill, she is running for District 4 Congress.
Hi guys, I'm Courtney. I think pretty much everybody knows me. If you don't know me, I'm very easily accessible and will have a good conversation with you one-on-one. So I am a nurse by trade, but I am really working hard to flip a seat. It is District 4. So if you are not familiar with the way the district is laid out now, it's Granville, Alamance, Person, and unfortunately Durham and Orange County. So we were a D37, we're now a D16. There was a D14 that just flipped in Texas, and I'm working really hard. We've got about 450 people signed up to help my campaign. All of those 450 people are not super active, so if you are not on our volunteer list and would like to be and want to get involved in this, it's a huge mission. It will be national news if I win, and I'm very motivated to do it. I'm putting my heart, soul, money, my husband's time, soul, money into it. It's really all his money because I'm not working. So if you're willing to help us, I know every candidate wants help at the polls, and the reason that we all ask you individually to help us is some of us are like working on certain target locations. And so I think anybody who's willing to work the polls, all of us are really, really thankful for you to pass out any literature that you can. But it does make a significant difference. So the places that I covered maybe 15 polls during the primary, because obviously there's multiple candidates. And out of those locations, looking at obviously it's just Republican votes because we have Democrat and Republican primaries. The places that I had somebody physically passing out literature, we won by about 5 percentage points higher. So when you think about this being a D16 district, just having someone at every polling location makes it like a D11, which is a huge difference, right? And we see the independents are swaying red. This is an opportunity, so I really need y'all's help. If you're not on our volunteer list, the easiest way to get plugged in, because if you come and give me your name and number, people in this room are like, yeah, this has happened to me. If you give it to me, it will probably get lost, and I'll ask you again in a month, but we don't have a month, so if you can go to my website, CourtneyGillsForCongress.com, and click the volunteer button, I will have somebody contact you very, very quickly. I'm gonna run out after this because my husband never sees me, but I'm gonna just start these passing around if you'd like one. Barb, can you just take them at the end? So whatever's left, these are bumper magnets. I don't like stickers on my cars, so I have magnets for y'all. I try to think like other people do. And so if you're willing to put one of these on your car, that's wonderful. If you want a sign, you can do that under the volunteer button as well, and we'll have someone drop a sign off at your house. We're rescheduling. It's unfortunate because the October 8th dinner is happening, but we're doing an October 11th dinner. So we were supposed to do a fundraiser in August for my campaign in Granville County. I was trying to do 5 fundraisers in 5 different counties within 2 weeks of each other. So that one just kind of fell through the cracks, and so we are rescheduling it to October 11th. That's on my website if you want more information. I'd love for you to come, and I'd love for you to invite your friends. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out. My number is very, very public. I have people call me all the time. They get really thrown off that the campaign number is my phone number. So if you have any questions or concerns for me, please reach out, and please make sure to remember that October 11th date. So thank you guys.
So we're also handing out red cards. We're calling them red cards. It's a conservative candidate list, and it has your judges. It has Courtney on there. So when people go and knock on doors, if they're like Vance's door knockers, when they're handing out the red card, they're also Courtney's door knockers, or they're Brad's door knockers, because everybody's name is on this list. So we just believe that this is going to be a way to, like for Courtney, for example, who may have to spend more time in Orange County, this is a way for all of us to say, okay, well, although I'm Vance's door knocker, I'm also Courtney's and Frank's and Brad's and Tim's and Winslow's. And, you know what I mean? It's just a way to... All right, anyway. Frank Sussman, ladies and gentlemen. NC32 House. Frank's going to win this seat. It's currently held by Terry Garrison. He is the incumbent. It is virtually impossible to unseat an incumbent that is doing a good job for his constituency. Okay, it's hard, almost impossible, and that's by design. Yes, Frank Sussman, the incumbent he's running against is not doing a good job for his constituency. And therefore, he is vulnerable. Now the fact is that it is a heavy lift. I mean, we don't have to lie to one another. You know, I think he's upside down like 4,500 votes. That's hard in a relatively small area. But we believe, based upon all of the research that we've done, and based upon all of the research that the NCGOP has done, when Frank first started to run before the primary, they called us and said, Chad and I, you're wasting your time with Sussman, there ain't no way you can win. It's not gonna happen. We said, we think you're wrong. And now, the NCGOP is calling Frank every week. They're investing time and money and video cameras in him. And the Speaker of the House wrote a $5,600 check to his campaign. So we have changed their mind. I got to talk today, I had a phone call today, and they just moved Frank's seat from into undecided. So the NCGOP House Caucus, they have a list of races that they believe they can win with effort. And Frank is the last one. His seat is the last one. It was moved over today, which means there's other seats that they are no longer going to pay attention to, so they can pay attention to Frank's seat. So that's, like I was saying, Frank needs door knockers, but, you know, everybody needs door knockers, you know. So if you're knocking on doors where Frank's going to represent, then, and you're handing out literature for anybody, if it's got Frank's name on it, you're handing out to Frank. So that's my pitch for Frank Sussman.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen again.
Well, I appreciate all of you and your support. And when I look at this crowd, Brad, I can understand why they'd want to have police officers at a school board meeting. But y'all look mean and rough, tough. Now, practice your mean look. You know? Because they'll be expecting it if you go to the school board meeting. You know, what a waste of time and energy for officers to be there at that meeting.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
When Mike can go up there and he can handle that crowd. Listen, I just got in yard signs today. I've been very methodical about my campaigning and what I do. It's different. I mean, I get coached by the Republican Party from the state all the time. And I just say, well, thank you. Yes, thank you. And I keep on just going and doing, you know, when they send me a report to fill out every week, they don't ask me how many events I've been to. They want to know how many doors I've knocked on.
Yeah.
And that's the golden egg. And I'm not discounting knocking on doors, but if you're talking to a lot of people and seeing a lot of people, and I am a lot of people, then that ought to count for something. But it doesn't with the Republican Party. You got to knock on doors, you know. But
Until he wins, then he's gonna be a genius.
and then listen, then I'm
Trust
going to
me.
write a book on how a redneck won an election. Or how a hillbilly won an election, something like that. You know? But I think I have 30-some signs. I've been answering the calls of people wanting these signs, but I have 30-some. And listen, talking about crime, this is a result I never thought the signs would bring. But I put up the 4x4 signs. In all those areas, crime has gone down. They see that picture right there. It's, whoa. So if you want crime to go down in your neighborhood, just get one of these yard signs.
Yeah, I need one of those signs.
Yeah, you need one, don't you? But things are going extremely well. Brad talked about the reception he's been getting. I've been getting a great reception wherever I go in Vance County and Granville County. When I meet white people, black people, Hispanic people, polka dotted people, all of them. The reception has been extremely good. And they're supportive. You know, a lot of the African Americans I meet, they said, can I have a picture with you, Reverend Sossman? I said, yeah. They said, I want to post it on my Facebook. Now that's more than just saying I got your back. That's somebody that's committed. Davis Royster Funeral Home, black funeral home in Vance County. Terry Garrison had a sign on the other side of the road where they are leasing a parking lot. And I went and talked to Miss Mary Davis Royster, and because I've been knowing her, our funeral home, Sossman and them work together. And I said, I've just come to ask for your support. She said, listen, you got my support. You have always helped us, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You got our support, all of our support. And so I asked her about putting a sign up on the other side of the road. She said, yes, please, put up more, 2 or 3 if you want to. So I went over there that day and put up a sign, which what it really does is discounts Terry Garrison's sign. Because just his sign there alone looks like Davis Royster is supporting him. But now, Sossman's sign's up.
Yes.
And that discounts it, and he hates that. He does, I mean, he makes it known. But again, I'm not going around trying to cause trouble. But one of the things the Republicans kept on asking me when I was filing, they didn't think I'd fight. I said, listen, the pastor has to fight.
That's right.
You know, don't you, brother?
That's right.
You can't just be a patsy and be a pastor. You got to deal with people who get unsanctified, you know, and unchristian, and you got to deal with it. And not say ugly words. You know, all the other words I say, I tell people sometimes, I said, I cussed today. They said, did you, what'd you say? I said, doggone it. Or phooey, or dag nabbit, or something. That's Christian cussing, you know. But I, you know, I'm going to fight. I'm going to go down to the state when I win and scream and holler and get on the floor and whatever I need to do to get their attention for District 32. I'm going to do it because we need help. We need assistance. I appreciate your support. Any good word you can put out for me, please do it. If you need me to give you a list of good things, I'll give you a list of good things that you can say. But I am optimistic. I'm very optimistic. I really believe that I'm in this providentially.
Right.
I believe this is an appointment that God has given me,
Yes.
and that he's taking care of everything. But don't just think God's gonna fix the numbers. You get out and vote. He won't do that. He won't do that. But again, thank you. Again, these signs are available. The ones that I have with me, you can take them until there's no more, and then I can get you some more. God, I appreciate all of you. It's been, if nothing else, this campaign's been great in getting to know some other great people here in Granville County that love the county and want good things to happen. God bless you.
So just so everybody knows, so when I'm talking to these guys at the state GOP and they're telling me all the things we're doing wrong, it's all about touches. Okay, so how many times can we touch the voter? You know, and if you can increase the amount of touches that you have, for every touch, you increase the likelihood that that person's going to vote for you by 10%. So for every touch, so if we can do 6 touches between now and election day, that's like a 60% more likelihood that that person would vote for you than not. So when Frank puts out a sign in someone's yard, that's a touch. Or when the door knockers go out and they're handing the red card out that has everybody's name on it, that's a touch for everybody. And so that's one of the reasons why, for us, because we don't have a lot of money, we're trying to do the best we can, do as many touches as we can for as many candidates as we can for the least amount of money we can do, because we don't have a lot of money. So I just thought I would share that that's the thought process behind what we're doing.
Money's coming in.
I hope so.
Start
It's
saying-
got to. It's
start
got to.
saying that.
It's got to. We need to hear from Vance Johnson. Vance Johnson, Granville County Sheriff. He is the first ever candidate for Granville County Sheriff. Thank you, Vance. Vance is sore.
Yeah, we've been at a chicken plate sale most of the day, so I smell like chicken. And we had a massive downpour right in the middle of it, so my feet are wet, so I'm very uncomfortable. And because we came straight here, and we pre-sold tickets for that event, and we had a set amount that we were going to sell. In the first 30 minutes, we were sold out. So it was fantastic. It was great. We had some plates left over, but they were pre-sale that didn't get picked up. So it went fantastic.
That's great.
The first person that came up and I had to say, we don't have any more chicken plates, they wrote me a $200 check. So it's great. And I've got a few. And but I'll say this, they're pre-sale tickets that have been paid for, and I don't feel right charging another person for it. So take a chicken plate home. It's not right to double sell it. I just don't think that's fair. That I've got the donation for it. I don't need $20 for a chicken plate, right? So I'm gonna say take it home. I don't need it. I will take 2 for me and my wife, right? Because we've been smelling it all day. But,
All day long.
but I don't feel right doing that. But anyway, the red cards, when you first see them, you think, wow, that's so simple. But when you go knock on these doors, people absolutely love them. I mean,
It's the craziest thing.
it's so crazy. Creedmoor Music Festival, exactly what I was looking for.
Over and over again.
Over and
exactly
over.
what I want.
It's
perfect.
It was just I would imagine that we have reached 1,000 houses in the last few weeks,
Oh, yeah.
knocking on doors easily.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's times when we've had 9 or 10 people out. Brad and I have worked together extremely well. He was out hustling chicken plates in Oxford for me today, getting rid of them. And we've worked together, knocking on doors together too. So a lot of that going on. Get involved, because just like somebody said, we're under a month, under 30 days. The election is coming. There's a lot going on in the sheriff's race. I think if most people in this room, I'm preaching to the choir because most of you kind of know what's going on. But we have got to get charged up. You need to talk to your neighbors and friends, because now is the time to get involved. Right now is the time. People are now getting interested They weren't they were not interested 30 days ago.
Right.
Now and in the next week is when they're gonna
They
start.
weren't interested a week ago.
They're gonna start looking and they're gonna try to get information. I'm doing some interviews with Next Door Radio. I don't know if one went on today or not, but
I thought we did.
it may have. My biggest thing in those interviews is that I'm talking about experience. And I've been talking about that all along. And what I said in that interview today, to save you a little bit of time, is that I hire, fire, and discipline employees all the time, have for many years. And if I hired the Democrat candidate today, he would be a police trainee. He would go to basic law enforcement training. There would be no waiver for his military training because it's been 30 years ago. And once he completed the 4 months of basic law enforcement training, he would be a probationary police officer with the state for 12 months. He would ride with an experienced officer for 4 months before he would be allowed to police on his own.
Amen.
That is the experience difference. And that's not negative against the Democratic candidate, because if I went and applied for a corrections job, I'd be required to do the same thing.
Of course, they don't, right, of course.
So right now, people need to be thinking about, this is not an entry-level position.
Right.
Look at what's going on in the last 5 years and tell me this is an entry-level position.
That's right.
It'll absolutely be a train wreck if we don't get it right. So please get out there and get active. Now is the time. And it's coming quick, and I need a break. So I hope we get there fast. Anybody got any questions? I'll answer anything.
How long is your term once you get elected?
4 years. Yes. I was telling somebody today that this is the way people should think about their vote. You know, it should be an investment.
That's right.
Your vote is an investment.
Right.
And it's an investment for 4 years or 6 years or whatever the term is for the office. But you need to think about that, okay? Think about that, because look at the unaffiliated candidate. Look at what's going on. Do you invest a vote there?
No.
Think about that. Where would we be a year from now?
That's right.
You got to think about that, and that's what I'm telling people. I told somebody today, you know, you invest your vote. You don't go in and just check a block. You need to think long term, and not just 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, because no matter how long I'm there, it'll affect what the next race is about.
Amen.
I was walking in my neighborhood, and Mike Waters is in my neighborhood, Oxford Park, as you know. And by the way, I'm on the main thoroughfare, this sign will be right there, on the main thoroughfare, we're about to drive through there. Okay.
Put it next to mine.
Crime will go down.
Mike Waters, I asked him, what do you think about Vance Johnson? And he just indicated to me that you were a super officer.
Yes.
Never had any problem with any of your paperwork, whatever, and he couldn't think of a better man for the job.
Well, I appreciate that.
And that's what he told me.
So which is where you're currently.
Right. Yeah, he covers a number of counties
Right.
as district attorney. Yeah.
He did everything but saying, I'm voting for it.
Well, he's probably not gonna say that, right? Yeah, I'm sure he probably wouldn't say that, but, I've got a good working relationship with the entire DA's office, so, I know
He just
quite a.
really spoke tremendously highly of you.
Yeah, well, that's good, it's good to know that he's doing that, so,
And the
that's
difference
nice.
in you, Vance, is when you get elected, you hit the ground running, but the rest of them,
Absolutely.
yeah, they have to find their way around.
It's interesting because you bring up Mike Waters, and we work with the DA's office on a regular basis. But since all this stuff started with the unaffiliated candidate, I've had no contact with any of them. And I've done that intentionally.
That's right.
Because I've been doing this 30 years, I can see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I haven't had involvement. I'm just like, no. I even told my boss at work, I said, we have to call them on a regular basis. I said, I can't do it.
Right.
If I've got an emergency and I have to, I will, but I can't just call and have a conversation about a case.
Right. You got it.
So it's kind of interesting that you say that, but, anybody got any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes, ma'am.
Sharon. What are you gonna ask, Sharon?
I just have a comment. There's a lot of people in this room that either helped us today, whether they were volunteering or bought plates or how prayers or whatever. Thank you so much. Like it really, I'm tired, so I'm not gonna be able to say much without like losing it. But the support that we have felt and the way that a majority, if not all of y'all, have embraced us and supported us and helped us is just really overwhelming.
It was, today was fantastic. The volunteers, we had too many people there.
Yeah.
Which was, we had 2 rows or 2 sections filling up plates, not one, we had 2. And it went fantastic, it really did, so, it was good. In fact, I stopped at one point and stepped back and took a picture of all of it because they were, had the assembly line going, filling
Yeah,
up
we
these
had it
plates.
going.
It was
We
great.
did.
Question.
What?
Why have you waited so long to run for sheriff? Where have you been?
He's so good. So good.
Where have you been? Vance Johnson, where have you
Okay,
been?
I've got a great job. Okay, so I enjoy my job where I'm at. I've got a fantastic job. So if things don't work out with this, I've still got a fantastic job on November the 9th, right? So, but there's reasonings behind me running, and the number one reason is that the deputies and the detention officers that work there, they deserve better. And when I sit back and saw that happening with all of the indictments and all of this crazy stuff, my first thought is, look, it's not gonna be 100% of those employees, but it's a massive majority that want to go to work, do the right thing, treat people right, they have integrity. That is the majority. And I feel so bad for those people. I feel bad. And that's why I decided to jump in here, because I can retire and go fishing. And when I told my wife, she said, "You have lost your mind." And with as rough as this thing has been at times, because it has, I think all can admit that, she told me the other day, if you ever decide to run for any other office, I will be sitting at the house watching. Because she has been with me 100% of the time. And I couldn't. Everything we do, she's right there with me, so I couldn't do it without her for sure, no doubt.
I also want to say, when people came out and picked up plates today in Oxford, they were just supportive as they could be. And, there were some that I think they just bought a ticket because maybe their best friend asked them maybe. But we gave them information, and then others came up and said, I've known Vance for years, and, but everybody was just so supportive and, commenting about, they've known you for such a long time, and you got their vote and others, so it was all good and awesome.
I think that door knocking, this is something that shocked me, and we've reached out to a lot of places, and all of my volunteers, and I go personally, I'm there every single time. And what has shocked me about door knocking, most people don't know what's going on, but they're so receptive, right? It's the conservatives are ready to get out and go. And I haven't run into anything negative out there knocking on doors, anything at all. That's shocking to me. So I think Brad will say the same thing. You don't run into negative.
No, the only negative thing I got the other day was I ran up on a house that had my opponent sign in the front yard, but I went up and knocked anyway. It's just me.
Right.
And what was funny is the woman who answered, who's a Republican, she even said, the only reason the sign's here is because my husband's the mayor of Stonewall.
Right.
And he's a friend, you know, my opponent, and he's a Democrat, whatever, split house and whatnot. That's about as negative as it gets, you know?
Yeah.
It's been fantastic.
That's not even negative.
No, it's not. That's what I mean.
I won't mention names, but Creedmoor was fantastic. Music festival was great. And I won't mention names, I won't get into any of that, but one of the guys, the only negative thing that happened all weekend, because this is a great story, I need to tell you this. He came by and it was like, I'm supporting this person, I'm voting for him, y'all are gonna lose, y'all are bad, y'all are gonna lose. So one of my volunteers tracks him down, right? And says, hey, come back up here and talk to this guy. And, well, I will say names. So he said, you know, he says, I'm supporting Chris Smoot. I said, okay. I said, I understand, that's good. He said, we've got a huge drug problem in the neighborhood. We got drug dealers all over the place. And I said, well, hold on a minute. Don't you think the chief deputy could do something about that?
Yes, amen.
And he said, yeah, you probably could. Right? I said, you got a gun on your hip. I said, you got conservative values, you're a Republican, right? He said, yeah, absolutely. I said, did you know that the other two candidates had never voted for a conservative?
That's right.
Did you know that? No. Which means in the last two presidential elections, in the primaries, they were voting for Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden. This is both of those candidates. Now, look, when I was young, I was a Democrat, because my dad said, if you're gonna vote for sheriff, you gotta be a Democrat. But at some point in my life, I woke up and said, hold on a minute, you gotta, so, but neither one of them have ever voted Republican.
That's right.
Sad.
So that's how important this race is for the conservatives. It really is.
You're not smart enough to be sheriff then.
Yeah.
Maybe not, Gary, maybe not.
Story ended.
What? Oh, yeah, let me tell you, let me get to the great part. Yeah, I'm sorry, I went off on another track. That's why she goes everywhere with me. So the guy leaves, he says, I'm gonna check all that out. And I said, yeah, of course you will. So as soon as I get home, I go on one of my Facebook posts, and he's posted on there, you got my vote.
Yep.
Right? That's the kind of contact that I think we're making. So that's the only one negative that I've run into, and we converted that guy. So,
Yep.
That's awesome.
but anything else? I took a long time. I thought this was gonna be a 5-minute thing, so.
Thanks, Vance.
And my feet are still wet.
So I'm just gonna say one thing about Vance Johnson, just so everybody knows. So, some people have said that the Granville County Republican Party recruited Vance Johnson. That is not true. What happened was, Charlie Noblin on a Wednesday resigned, and I talked to him on Thursday, and I said, why did you resign? And so we talked about that, and I said, okay, well, where do we go from here? Now what do we do? Because you were the candidate, you were gonna win, now what do we do? And he said to me, I said, tell me your honest opinion. Now I know that it is raw, but tell me, who do I look for? He said, the only person that's gonna be able to fix this is somebody that has had nothing to do with the sheriff's office.
Yes.
And I said, so you're telling me that there is not one person inside the sheriff's office that could take over and turn it around? He said, I am telling you that there is not one person that could do it.
Right.
And that's not their fault. It's the culture that they grew up in. And this is what he said. It's the culture I grew up in. It's not my fault. It's not anyone's fault. This is what is normal. So in order to fix it, we need somebody from outside. Okay, this is just how Jesus works, right? This is Thursday.
Yeah.
So then I talked to him again on Friday, and he says the exact same things to me. He calls me and he says, I'm telling you, there's gonna be people from inside the department that come to you that want your support. Don't give it to them. You gotta find somebody from outside. And I said, well, maybe you can help me. He said, I ain't helping you do. And I said, thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. And then we got a call from someone who said, I want you guys to meet with a man named Vance Johnson. And I was like, and this was on Saturday that we got this phone call. And I was like, okay. And he said, so let's go to lunch, we'll go to Mazatlan and we'll talk about it. So we go to lunch that Monday, and he explains who Vance Johnson is. And I said, well, I hope you ain't lying, because this guy sounds like a unicorn. He said, well, he's a unicorn, I'm telling you. So of course we do our best research that we can, because we're gonna meet with Vance Johnson. We're gonna have breakfast with him on Saturday morning at Speed Grill. Never seen this guy, I don't know him from a hole in the head. So Vance Johnson comes in, and we ask him the exact same questions that we ask the other candidates. Are you conservative? How do you feel about the Second Amendment? How do you feel about abortion? And Vince is saying he's saying all the right things. You know, he's saying all the things that I would want him to say, or that you would want him to say. How do you feel about the authority? I think we asked about masks, and you know, what about enforcing those rules for the school board? All those questions, we go through them all. And then we ask him, in the primary, because you're gonna have a primary, if you lose, will you support the Republican candidate? Which we asked every single candidate. And Vance says yes, and we also sent them what's called a candidate questionnaire. So we have all these questions and answers in writing. So during the primary, all of the Republican candidates answered these questions, and all of the Republican candidates swore that they would support the Republican, whoever won, and they would also donate any money they had to that candidate. That's what they all said. Okay, so Vance won, going away, and Clint's sitting right there.
Yep.
I mean, he's sitting right there.
We talk all the time.
Clint they talk all the time, you know. Clint's a great guy. We have no issues with Clint. And I just wanted you guys to know that Vance came to us because he wanted to run. It had nothing to do with us. He fell in our lap, and we were like, "This is fantastic," you know. And we had a really contentious primary, as you guys know. So this has been going on for a year for him, which is not normal. Normally the race is, especially in Granville County, the race has been a couple months. You know, and the primary hasn't really been a real primary. They haven't really been fighting each other. And there's really been no general election. And so this is the first time for all of us, for the party, for the candidates, for the public. This is the first time for all of us. We'll get better at it. You know, it won't be quite so bad next time. We'll know what to do, and we'll know what not to do next time. You know, things that worked, things that didn't. So thank you for your patience for everybody. We don't have any more candidates. We spoke about poll greeters. I just want to mention one more time. Taylor, you want to say anything? You don't have to. You can. Taylor Frederick. Taylor Frederick ran for District 7 School Board. He did not win, but
yeah,
he's a great dude.
As Vance is leaving, I'm about to pay him a compliment. So I wanted to say a couple things. I know I don't need to say any of these things, but after I lost the election, it was contentious in my race as well, and I just wanted to say that I apologize. I've been gone for a couple of months. Basically, we had a pretty big tragedy in the family that kind of took us out of the game for a little bit. So I just wanted to appreciate your guys' continued support and stuff like that, and the grace that we had in that interim and stuff like that. I don't want you guys to take like the 3 to 4 months that civically I was less involved after all the promises that I made. I want to make sure that you guys know that none of that was because of a bad taste from a loss of an election, and everything had to do because of a tragedy. So I wanted to use this opportunity also to continue to thank the Johnsons, because I mean, y'all were a huge blessing to me during my election. I wouldn't have even gotten close if it wasn't for your guys' campaign. And something that I was laughing at when I saw Vance walk in is I can tell how hard he's working. He's much more tan than he was in true. Yeah, so like, and Brad and all the other candidates, Frank, I mean, you guys have all been blessings to me, and I love seeing all the familiar faces and stuff here. So I just want to take this moment to thank you guys and just say that, you know, I'm still fighting the good fight, doing what I can for the kids, and we'll do what we can, I don't know, on October 3rd and go from there. So thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Taylor. Anybody have any questions about anything? We have Ted Bud signs, if somebody needs Ted Bud signs, I think. We definitely do. If we have, we can get you signs for anybody. E.C. Sykes, Ted Bud, Vance has got signs floating around here somewhere. Frank's has got signs. So if anybody, Courtney signs, did you say? Okay, EC signs, so I need a couple of signs at this point. Courtney was here, I know she's got signed, but I want one of those magnets, I think they're the best. We have our Lincoln Rigger dinner coming up, and we're gonna need a little bit of help for that, so if anybody wants to come and help us, that would be good. That's about it. Anybody have anything else? No?
See me after if you want a chicken plate, please.
Okay, see Sharon if you want a chicken plate. And like I said about signs. Thanks guys, thanks for coming. Next month we have Treasurer Fulwell, and we have John Huskatagi, who will be that'll be a really good one. He's a really great speaker. And it's just a really interesting story how he escaped Venezuela. So we'll see you next month. Thank you guys.
Now we'll see you all at the school board meeting on October 3rd at 6, before 6.